See if this works. Should. Hello, everybody. Welcome. It's Wednesday, and it's really, really, really sunny out there, but everything in here is closed, just so that the lights are done the right way. So you're here, and here, and here, here, right? And we got all the cameras and everything is set up. Welcome. I don't know how many people are gonna be there because usually, 6:45. Not a lot of people are out there. I don't know why. Maybe because it's a Wednesday. Maybe because people are still at work. People are not allowed to watch different streams and stuff. So take your seat. We're gonna just chill and have a good time. I'm going to update you on what I have done in Bitwig for my template, and we're gonna keep talking about creative songwriting, how to be creative, how not to get into writer's block, all that stuff. Okay, so I've been venturing into different things in terms of routing a lot, and I would like to take my template and expand it. Hey, hello, Booster Loop. Hello, hello. I try to remember the names of everybody. I think Booster Loop, you're kind of new, so welcome if you are. I don't know, maybe not. I don't have, gazillions viewers, so that I go like, oh, I don't remember this guy because I got so many people. I usually remember the names of people who, usually if Ethan kind of greets you the first time, probably you haven't typed in chat. So welcome, very glad that you're here. My name is Alberto. I compose for video games mostly and TV series and movies since the last 4 years mostly. I used to have a recording studio as well for 15 about years, right? I mean, I still do have a studio, but I've done a good 9 years of a lot of recording and mixing, also for dialogue, also for video games, getting gigs for other stuff. And since the pandemic, I went back to writing my own music. I'm a pianist and keyboardist first, and then I've also done sound engineering work. And I've gone back to mostly doing what I do, which is composing, writing music and stuff. So I usually have a lot of what have we been doing so far. I think we've been doing mostly for the past year or so engineering videos, mostly. Like people wanted to know how you mix something, how you get to, I don't know, get the kick and bass to live together, how you deal with mix buses and stuff. But in the past year and a half, it's not two, but it's around that time, I got an increasing number of requests related to doing creative workshops. So people, I've noticed the people that have been asking me stuff were more related to, like, they would say, I don't care as much about engineering because I kind of know what to do by now with all the tutorials, with all the YouTube culture, Twitch, whatever. I would like to know how to actually come up with an idea and develop it. So what you're seeing here, I'm just talking Booster Loop because it's new, but there's probably somebody else lurking around and doing stuff. What we talk about here is I try to have a weekly or bi-weekly event just brainstorming stuff. All right. So welcome everyone if you're here. What we do usually in these streams is we do not have a precise template, which is nice. I don't want to just have you think it's a classroom, it's a master class, take notes and stuff. We got to enjoy ourselves first and foremost. So I've set up my screen. I've set up some of the cameras that I have to just see things around that I use and compose. So it will be kind of easier for you to know where I'm going, although there's still stuff that it's not on camera, but at least you get some kind of orienteering. And then we can kind of dial in things. We've been doing a little bit of plugins. We've been doing a little bit of composing. We've been doing a little bit of just talking about routing. And the very cool thing that I've done in the past week, I would say, not even 2 weeks, it's a week or so, is I've been moving a lot of my template for composing or my mindset for composing to Bitwig Studio. And this is a very, very happy coincidence because I got a gig, I got a commission to write music for, I would say probably I would have to come up with around 20 pieces, 20 sketches, 30 maybe, by let's say end of September tops, okay, just to be safe. So I wanted to find something that would allow me to just go faster and more creatively. And I was completely fine with Nuendo, but I wanted to see if there was anything faster and more creative, which in turn also works great because a lot of you out there have been asking me how to push being creative in the studio, okay? A lot of you, me included, myself included obviously, have issues not towards the fact that we don't really write music that we engineer correctly. We do engineer it kind of correctly and people can really do pretty much everything these days. The problem is more, we don't know how to start up. There's people that write, I don't know if that happens to you, let me know in chat, writing music, writing a kind of an idea, taking it to maybe a little bit of a development, and then it just goes nowhere, and you start a new idea and you then just take it to the next level and then stop and it's not ready, and you start a new idea, and there's people that have folders full of stuff, of unfinished songs. Okay, so my happy coincidence was that Bitwig really, really helped me out to find a platform that will be, for me, incredibly productive and educational, to myself included. And for you, also something that will trigger probably a little more of a creative motivation. Does it make any sense? I hope it does, because this is what it should be. So last week we took a look at my template, starting up, because I was kind of learning what Bitwig was doing and coming from Pro Tools and Nuendo and other stuff that I still use, mostly Nuendo. Pro Tools I've put a little bit of on a shelf in the past years, but I've used almost daily for years and years and years and years and years. So I know Pro Tools. I would not compose on Pro Tools. I don't know why, I just don't click with composing in Pro Tools. But there's a lot of DAWs that actually could be fine. I was really surprised and happy about Bitwig being really, really productive. It's like a soil that keeps on giving somehow. And you can use it for scenes and creative play like live sets, but it doesn't force you to a specific scenario. So I thought that today we could just take a look at what I have been designing for my own studio and for my own setup, because I've been told by the people at Bitwig as well, who are very proud to have me in their roster, because I don't really have a simple setup. I have a pretty complicated setup for the studio. I like to compose and mix together. I don't do mixing phases in a way of like, today I mix, you know. I try to compose a song and mix it as I go. And once it's done, I kind of sit down with different tunes and find a common mastering scenario that will allow me to just publish stuff. Oftentimes my sketches, my music, doesn't really need to go to a mastering stage before I send it to my boss or audio lead or the audio supervisor, project supervisor, whatever you want to call it. I don't have to master it because I actually have to send cues, and they will do the cues into the game engine or just try it out and then let me know all these things. So the music I want to write, however, does need mastering for sure. So I do kind of perform a different phase in terms of mastering scenarios, but I don't do a mixing stage. So I have not a lot of synthesizers, but I do have a little bit of a machine situation and hardware units and pedals, and doing all of these real time with effects as well can be daunting, you know. So it's proof that Bitwig does work. Okay, so I'll guide you through my template, because I think that by showing you how I tend to work, we will put our first sort of milestone down having a solid template and a workflow scenario, I would say, I would call it scenario rather than template, will really increase the capacity of yours to develop songs, okay? How did I do it? It's just my own personal stuff, but I think you can kind of nitpick things that will be interesting to you, and I seriously hope it becomes something that you can kind of look at and say, I don't like that stuff, but that one I like, that one I would like to do, and things like that, okay? So what you see here is a sketch that I'm actually working on that hasn't really evolved that much, apart from these breakdown, this part in the middle. And if we compress things in Bitwig, you see that there's a dominance of brown stuff. The brown stuff is drums and grooves and beats and things, okay? The purple are synthesizers and the magenta are basses, and then there's all sort of different colors in my palette that are not hardware synthesizers or orchestral sounds and things like that, up until we get to the green track, which is my mix bus, and it's all the way here, okay? So audio for me flows from left to right somehow, so it just goes like, you know, like typing stuff. So at the very end, I have a mix bus. Hey Marco, hello, well met. So I have my mix bus, and this mix bus is going to my monitor track, okay? So let's take a look first at my studio setup in terms of hardware in Bitwig, because as of now, I think I have polished my template, and this is a good example for you to take a look at my way of doing things. I am somebody who's called upon writing a lot of short sketches very quickly, okay? I don't just start from scratch and stay a month on a song. It cannot happen. I cannot do it, because if I write 100 sketches, maybe 5 get a little bit of a lucky scenario, and that stuff needs to be developed, and then it goes to a licensing company, and that gives me some royalties. If I spend 1 month to make one song, I'm done. I cannot do it because I'm too slow, okay? So bear in mind that my approach is aimed at being fast, okay? But in doing so, it will help you get a perspective from somebody who's quick at doing things and has developed a method that stays there. If you get writer block, if you get lost in your own DAW, this could be helpful, okay? So first and foremost, what is my studio like? Well, you see some of the cameras and stuff that partially tell you the story. I have rack hardware gear. I have hardware synthesizers. I have hardware effect pedals. I have bass machines, synths, I already said, plugins, and computer, speakers, headphones, and an old Amiga computer, and patch bass, okay? Which you can see in the gear camera below the Prophet 6. There's tons of spaghetti, and that is the patch bass, okay? This used to be part of my recording studio that then became revolving around myself as a composer. So it's a huge facility turned into a composer galore, okay? That's the thing. But if we go to the preferences in Bitwig, you'll see how my studio is routed. So first and foremost, I think you should really I'm kind of feeling confident that I know a little bit of Bitwig right now. Do your math and calculations for which kind of input buses and output buses you gotta run, okay? So my outputs, I have 16 outputs and 16 inputs, and then I have 16 inputs and 16 outputs in the digital domain. So it's a total of 32 and 32. But let's concentrate on the analog, because everything here is analog up until the very end, and then it becomes digital, okay? So I have 16 inputs analog and 16 analog outputs, okay? The outputs go to my pedals mostly. And you see the outputs here. It's timeline, Big Sky, Volante, Avalanche Run, Black Hole, Stream, which is for you, and Monitor, which is my monitoring, okay? Now, Monitor will go to a Lavry DA that goes to my Dangerous monitor, which goes also to my Dangerous MQ, which goes to the power amps, which go to my speakers, okay? So Monitor is my speakers, sort of. You know, my monitoring desk. I have a little bit of hardware stuff here. Right on top of this little hand bloop, 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 thing is there, right? So these are my outputs. All of my pedals, so Timeline, Big Sky, Volante, Avalanche Run, and Black Hole, don't come back to specific separate inputs, okay? I send separately, but I do not receive separately. I funnel all of these effects into a Dangerous 2-bus, and this summing box is summing all of my effects. I do it that way. I already heard, and so we could kind of put a flag right there. This is a very weird thing, okay? But I do it that way, and I like how my music sounds that way, and it's okay. So I have a summing box, and I use it to sum all of the effects, the physical hardware effects, plus something else as well, but let's say the effects. So I have one input bus, which is 1516, which is my 2-bus retard, okay? Remember that because the effect pedals don't come separately back. I cannot really print one pedal against another pedal. I have a funnel of analog effects, okay, which is my 2-bus retard. For some reason, I've said 1516 2-bus retard. We could actually go 2-bus retard, doesn't matter. Then my inputs, my separate inputs, are actually my real synths. That's how I use them mostly. So I have a Voyager, Prophet 6, Prophet 12, Amiga, DW8000, Bassline, Bass Station 2, which as you can see are mono, you see 5 and 6, and then a Nord Lead 2X, okay? These synthesizers and bass machines, whatever computer, whatever they are all going through separate inputs. Why do I do that? Because I want to track them independently and bounce them on the fly, okay? So right off the bat, again, I don't spend a lot of time in MIDI on my sounds, okay? Pick everything you want from how I work, just knowing that I need to be fast. I do it this way and it's been working for me very nicely. So that's there. This is my inputs and outputs physical for analog, okay? The MIDI part of this is also a little bit complicated, okay? So what I have here is I have controllers that I use to kind of play stuff around. Mostly I use my Bass Station 2 here to just control stuff. And that's my USB controller in MIDI. But then I have the MIDI set up for the Prophet 12, the Prophet 6, the Voyager, and the Bassline. I don't have the channels set for my Nord Lead as a controller, and I don't have them for the DW8000. They're too far back and over here up, and I don't use them. I have other keyboards, a Poly 6 and a Juno, and they don't have MIDI. Actually, the Poly 6 has a MIDI mod, but I never use it, so they're not MIDI. They just go audio in. When they do, they go into my 2-bus, and they get a little bit of the busing, some whatever, and they get printed into the effects retard, okay? Now, all of this MIDI stuff is because I have a 16-channel MIDI interface, okay? And this 16-channel MIDI interface is an M8U by ESI, fantastic MIDI interface. But I also have a MIDI Sport by Steinberg, which is probably the oldest thing in this room in terms of when I bought stuff. I still have my first audio cable, and then my MIDI interface that I had was a MIDI Sport. We're talking about 1997, I think, 6, probably, 5. I don't even know. So it's registered as MIDI Sport because inside it's a MIDI Sport, but it's a Steinberg interface, whatever. So all of these things, as you can see, are my MIDI devices. My Bitwig isn't synced to anything. A lot of people like to sync Bitwig to a MIDI clock. I don't do it. I have Bitwig send the clock out. And as you can see, I'm sending the MIDI clock fixed to the base station because of the ARPs and stuff that I write. And there's another track that is the 16, MIDI 16, which is my pedals. So because I use delays, I need to send all of the MIDI to these pedals. So I'm sending to them in chain, okay, through MIDI in, out, as a through system. It goes to the timeline, then to the Big Sky, then to the Volante, and the Avalanche Run and Black Hole, they do not have MIDI they need, so they're fine, okay? I kind of use them for reverb mostly. The Avalanche Run has a little bit of delay, but it's not to tempo. It doesn't matter. It's off tempo all the time. Believe it or not, it is. Now I could send MIDI clock from here. I don't do it generally from here. Then the MIDI Sport 2x2 out A is my DW8000 and the out B is my Amiga. Okay, so it's a USB cable, goes all the way back into the room and goes MIDI connected to the DW and Amiga. So everything in here, if it can, is connected both in MIDI and in audio. This is very important, okay? And the effect pedals go to my summing box and get bundled together, okay? Now, there's not a lot that I should say. I've moved, just to try, to be within Bitwig plugin hosting mode, okay? So this is the most dangerous situation Bitwig allows you to do. It uses the least resources, but you know, if a plugin crashes, it can crash the whole audio. I used to run by plugin and I really loved how, you know, plugin types were bundled together. I would probably either go by manufacturer or together, but I want to be risking some serious stuff today. So we're gonna go within Bitwig, okay? My buffer size, because I know a lot of you will ask, like, what do you run for buffer size if you're mixing and composing together? I usually run 512, and I can live with the latency. I don't, you know, if I need to really play a piano part, which probably won't happen, I will, whatever, just, you know, play and then maybe move it all together, or maybe lower the latency and go. Honestly, I don't have a lot of issues at 48 kilohertz with 512, okay? But I might need at the very end of a mixing phase or a song phase to step it up to 1024 because the computer just says no, you know, especially if I'm streaming to you, but if I'm not, that's how it is, you know. It's also probably gonna reach to kind of, you know, just saying, please raise that. So this hardware and software thing is very important because now we can take a look at what my generic kind of a template is in Bitwig. And I think I've developed, for those of you like Marco or people that were here last week, this is a nice follow-up because I've kind of fine-tuned things that I think optimize the way Bitwig Studio was meant to be used, not forcing you to, but meant to be used. And I've probably dialed in a couple tricks that I think are beneficial to the session itself, okay? So let's start from the very end, okay? Let's go all the way to the right here. There's a track called Monitor Track, okay? Now, this monitor track called MonTRK is going to a track, a physical track called Monitor. So I could name it the same. I could name it Monitor, but then I have issues knowing if I'm sending to the track monitor or to the direct output. Trust me, you will get in trouble. So one of the tips that I can give you is try and separate what you call in terms of audio tracks and physical channels on your interface, because most DAWs these days, they will allow you to just do whatever you want and it can be dangerous, okay? So monitor track has no input. It doesn't have any input. You see here all the things I had, right? From different, all the settings we talked about, right? And it sends out to 1516, which is my audio out, right? The lavalies, the converters, just to listen to, speakers, whatever you want to call them. In here, if we take a look at the modules at the bottom, this is the plugin chain that is living on the monitor track, okay? I have a 2-stream, this is an hardware send, so it's sending audio to you. It's then adding it's doing 50% mix, so we both get the same audio, but then we're both getting plus 6 dBs because then the volume is no longer unity gain. And then there's a reverberate instance, which is my speaker room calibration, okay? If you want to know more about these, I have a class, a master class, an entire course on how to room calibrate your studio, how to calibrate your speakers so that they respond to the room the best way and to get a flatter response, and you can translate your mix in your room better outside, okay? So I use impulse responses in linear phase as well. These are minimum phase, but you can write them in linear phase. And I use reverberate to load the impulses. So this is not reverb, you know, you see these and it's like, wow, he has reverb on the mix bus. No. This is just an impulse response for loading, you see here, the calibration for my speakers, okay? So this goes here, we hide it, and this is the monitor track that I have, okay? This is easy because this is the track to which everybody goes, or not everybody, there's one track that goes there. So I propose we go backwards. I don't know if you like that, okay? Which track goes to the monitor track? There's only one track that should go there, and it's my mix bus, which is, in the case of Bitwig, a folder here. And this folder has nothing on, it's just a folder with no input, and it goes to monitor track, you see here, mon track, right? So when I press play on something, I don't know, from a synthesizer, let's find a part that has synths, whatever, here maybe. Right? For example, this simple part, it goes to mix, then it goes to all effects, and it goes out. Now this one, as you can see, this specific track, for example, doesn't have any send returns, okay? So the other one next to it, in fact, is all effects. So all effects gathers all of my effects buses. If I go show effects tracks, we see them here. I have timeline, I have big sky, volante, avalanche run, black hole, and then I have 2-bus return. You remember 2-bus return? It's the return of all of my physical pedals. So trick that I use, I place these as a darker blue line in between the physical pedals and the plugins that I use for send returns, okay? The nice thing is, I will show you in a second. There's a couple tricks to doing all this. So the timeline, Big Sky, Volante, Avalanche Run, and Black Hole all have a plugin on it, which Bitwig has, which is called Hardware Effects, okay? Hardware Effects, as you can see below there, is sending to my timeline track, which is one of the outputs, right? And is gathering from nobody. Why is this happening? Because every pedal I have is sending to its send. See that? Timeline, Big Sky, Volante, Avalanche Run, Black Hole. And they all have calculated their latency for the cables, the wires, whatever is going on. Right? Does it make sense? Yes. They have no input and they have no output. This is the most amazing thing ever. You can send stuff to Bitwig without having physical inputs and outputs, okay? So as you can see, a lot of the channels I have here are sending to these sends. Some of them have Volante, Timeline, Black Hole, Survival, Crotosian, DZ. What are these? These are all effect chains that I've made for myself, and I've also grouped them. For example, Glitch Delay, for example, Rebounder 2 is, as you can see, a whole group, and I can collapse it right off the bat, like here. And you see there's Echo Boy, The Grader, KHS Limiter, Valhalla Shimmer, KHS Transgate. You know, it's a chain of plugins going one into the other. To me, I've saved it grouped together as one preset. So when I dial these in with Ars effects rebound, for example, if I type ARS with what? Location, category? Oh, it doesn't come up here. Device, whatever. Where is it? Where go to everything. Go to everything. Okay, so if I go here, not for file type, but maybe creator, I don't know, Alberto maybe? Okay, so if I go by creator and I put Alberto in, I see all the things I've created so far. You know, dangerous master chain, kick me glitcher, pulverizer, all of these things. So the effects chains are where are they? They're groups or things? Maybe they're in here somewhere. Anyway, oh, there, of course. Rebouncer 1, 2, right? This one is in here. That's Rebouncer 2, right? The preset that I've saved and made. Or probably I didn't save this. That's why it's not here. So I could do it, you know, Ars preset to library. So I call these Ars effects, and then it's funny because I use ARS, and then it sounds like Ars, which is great. And effects, and call it, for example, what was it, like a Rebouncer 2, Rebouncer 2, and save it, right? And it gets saved. Rebouncer 4, pound delay 8, 16, survival, Crotosian, DZ. All of these things are effect chains. They obviously don't send to each other, but they could, for example, without creating weird feedbacks. And you can even create a feedback. Bitwig Studio will allow you to run feedbacks into things. I think. I haven't done it, but it seems like that. 2-bus return, same deal. 2-bus return is actually just catching from the 2-bus, and it's not pitching to anything. So Bitwig is amazing. It just allows you to do that. You can have a hardware effects insert that sends to something or returns from something. And it doesn't do anything else, and it's fine. So this track, the 2-bus return, now has an effects bus that is its destination. Why do I use that? Notice that there's a sort of like major than, greater than. This greater than sign means it's going to a bus for me. That's how I do it. I either use a dash or I use a greater than sign. And this is all effects, which you can see here. It's this track here, all effects, right? This could actually be a darker green somehow because it's a track that gathers real effect tracks, okay? So the 2-bus return goes to all effects, but so do all of the other effects. Glitch delay, rebouncer, pound delay, they all go to all effects. I like to have a bus that channels all of the effects, okay? And what do I have here? Okay, let's try something like, let's try and play something with whatever. I don't know, DW8000? Okay, so by itself, the DW sounds like this. Right? That's what it does. But why am I talking about being creative and doing stuff? With a template like this, if I want to drop these into the black hole and send it pre so that I have a different also way of handling its volume, I can do it. I just turn it on. I usually have the DW8000 on pre stuff, and I can dial in the black hole. So now, I love this. Like it was like this. This is this again. What was I playing? Okay. Right? I was doing, what is it? 11, 13, I don't know, 15 on 16, something like that. Anyway, but with the black hole, this could be the start of a song. This could be the idea that starts a song. You know, I'm not playing a cover from anyone. It's just an arpeggio or whatever, you know, and it's... And if you play these against the 4, I will kind of give that movement, whatever, and it could be. But the fascinating aspect of this is that the DW8000 is in my template, and I can just dial in a black hole effect, okay? For example, I could not, maybe I could say I don't want the black hole, I want to use Crotosian, for example. Crotosian is completely cranked up, but it's a lot more forgiving, although with longer sounds it kind of become different, right? So this is cool. Okay, I could say, well, I want Crotosian, but I also want Survival LR, you know, and you get ideas fast because Survival LR, hear it out, hear what it does. Here, it's atmospheric. It's already leaning to a sound. Now, it's my sound, it's not your sound, but if you tailor a send return to your liking, you have a common ground, okay? A question that I get a lot is, do you fear of getting stuff to sound absolutely the same because you have the same send returns? And my answer is no. In studios, a lot of the time, old school studios, you would have a reverb set on a preset, and it would live off that preset forever and ever and ever. And they made tons of records from different artists as well. So once you coin your specific sound, it's all good. Let's try the Amiga, for example, without anything. This is a patch, so survival, let me turn off everything. Right, I'm playing something super basic. I heard something super weird. What is it? All right, nice. I like this, okay? So let's try something else. Let's try, again, on the Amiga, let's try the Big Sky, for example. Let's crank it up, maybe put it in pre, okay? The Big Sky I use mostly on, I think a cloud preset is set to now. That's really a lot. I usually don't go that far, but I'm still playing the same thing, okay? I'm not changing anything. We could change, we could get ideas. Hear how nice that is. It's the Amiga. It's literally the Amiga that you see in this camera, okay? So can you believe it? The Amiga sounds like that? I do, because I use it all the time. But this is a patch I kind of always have. I like to think sometimes it's the Amiga as just something that is one patch of sound. Let's hear the timeline. Let's do a little bit lower in octave. Right, so it has these. Could this be the intro of another song? Absolutely. Why not? Right? Maybe we want to mix and match. We want to use a little bit of a volante, a little bit of a black hole, like. This could be another introduction, entire song, right? I actually should kind of, maybe watch my own stream again and then kind of, but it's just what, just, okay, we could talk about the music, but it will just get too long, but. example. And again, this would be my template. This is a suggestion that I would have. It's a template. It's always gonna have the Amiga there, always. It's always gonna be there, the Voyager, the Prophet, the Nord lead, all the other stuff. When I play the Nord lead, I can go there, but could do whatever. I'm thinking about something that I couldn't play, but I'm thinking about where did I hear this? Gotta be careful sometimes that you write stuff like, this is awesome, but I know where this is coming from. So, for example, the Nord lead already has the black hole, the Crotosian, a little bit of a timeline, all in presend. I kind of like these last 3 scenes to be all in presend, but there's other stuff. There's Coil, for example, from Reactor. Here, Coil is from Heaviosity. If you want to play Coil, it's already in here. Just because it's in this song, I don't usually have it in my template, but whatever. Sounds cool. Or this is just one of the many. If you have favorite synthesizers and stuff you like, put it in the template. And we'll get to it right now. Just don't keep adding everything you have. Okay? Now, I hope I have your attention in terms of how to set things up and do things. You can have real synths, it can be fake synths. It's okay. If it sounds good, it sounds good. It doesn't matter. For example, drum machines, okay, and templates. So another question I get is, okay, you build your own effects, you set your pedals. Do you change the settings at each session? No. When I set my timeline in a way I like, it will sync to tempo, but I will not change the settings song per song. I will not do it, ever. So my timeline is set to a preset that I've kind of designed, and it's staying there. My Big Sky, same deal. I like to, play with them when I'm outside and doing synthesizers and other things, but I know exactly the settings because I take a picture of them from above and I save presets in them, like 00, something like it. So now that I am writing music up until end of September to get something, like a corpus of music that I'm sending for licensing, those pedals will stay the same. I will not change things, and I will not change the other effects, the send returns that I have. I just don't. I don't do it, So, that's the other question. How do you know what to put? Like, do you have a little bit of a collection of libraries, of things you've bought? How does it work? How do you know what to add or what not to add? Okay? This is my, again, personal experience, but if you get a project that you want to work on, and that's how I usually work. I work in projects. So I get a sort of a cue, I get an idea, I get sketches, I get somebody who says, you know what, we would really appreciate you writing something along the line of, and then they will name a video game, okay, all right, a super famous video game. Usually I get a couple super famous video games, like, Alberto, we need kids music for a casual game like, and they name a famous video game, okay? Doesn't need to be named now. And I go like, all right, I do have something, but I don't have something. I want to write something else. Oftentimes I don't have stuff, because I also tend to make records of the music that I don't get licensed. So because I made it my own, I cannot 90% of the time sell it to somebody because I made it, it's already released, okay? But when I sit down and prepare for a project, I remember this is a question that on my Discord happened a lot, on Patreon, yeah? It was about, how do you prepare? Do you have one template that you use for everybody? No, I don't. I sit down and usually have a part of a template that I like, but I tend to sit down and design the entire session template for the project. Okay. So for example, these project that I'm working on has a lot of drum machines and stuff, but they doesn't have 707s, 808s, 404s, or even 303s for bass and that stuff. I don't have it. I just designed some stuff I like, and sounds like this, okay? How did I make these sounds? Well, I had this project in mind that I wanted to join, and I had my Prophet 12. I was driving to Italy. I took it with my car in, as luggage, drove to Italy, stayed for a week, and I took a Zoom recorder with me, and I just recorded some sounds, and I made kicks, snares, hi-hats of a tone or kind of a sound palette that I thought would be appropriate for the style that I was given. Okay, so I don't know, like these ones, right? So weird sounds. Something like this, I like these kind of sounds. They're appropriate for the genre I was given to, but that's it. Snares, Do I have snares here? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe, maybe not. Why aren't they playing? What's going on with my snares? All right, they're probably on what? C1? No? Why aren't they playing? We don't know. We don't want to play the snares, but they're here. I know they're here. This works. There's probably something with the MIDI or whatever. They're not in monitoring. Are they now? Maybe yes, maybe no. Oh, yes, they are. Hold on. Yes, okay. These are my snares. Now, the problem with my snares is that there's a peak limiter, there's a delay, there's an EQ2, and there's a beat 8. I don't know why I did it that way. Oh, there's a distortion. They all sound the same though. They shouldn't be. I mean, yeah, I probably didn't have lots of ideas. Now, the hats, for example. These are hats I designed. So for this project, I don't want to bore you with these sounds, but I made some beats and single samples that I thought would be beneficial for the project, just because I didn't want to use specific kind of other, legit kind of sounds that everybody has. But I also had to. How did I do it? I put some machine drum stuff. I put octatrack stuff. I put, I think, a mono machine as well somewhere. Redrum mono machine, here it is. A lot of Electron stuff. I just love Electron stuff. And I've been lucky to be artist with Electron for a little bit now, and I think I have registered a lot of drum machines and things for workshops and stuff. So if you look at my account, it looks like I have 3 Digitacs and I don't know, like 4 Octatracks. I don't know, no, maybe not, but 2, and then an old blue mono machine, whatever. It's stuff that we use for workshops that I had to register in order to get the sounds, the firmware, the updates and stuff before setting the masterclass up. But if you look at my account, I'm a very, very, very affectionate, Electron artist. I love their stuff for sure. And I've got a tons of collections of things. So I've designed here the Octatrack factory sounds, the kicks, the snares, other stuff. The redrum is using the mono machine sounds. I think Kong is doing something similar. I don't use maybe these sounds a lot, but it's a Reason Rack plugin. What I want to say is all of these drums, I am better at playing with a mouse than a keyboard. Shame on me. Anyway, what did I want to say? All of these drum machines are kind of divided into beats, drums, grooves, okay? You see that, right? Beats is here, it's a folder, drums is a folder, grooves is a folder, bass is a folder, synths is a folder, orchestral stuff is a folder as well, okay? So do it for your template as well. But again, don't overdo it. Look at how many things I have, but don't overdo it. So this is probably a lot of drums, but this project is very percussion oriented, so it needs that stuff. And I don't know, for example, this section here, let's listen to this one. Or this here. The loop at a very specific thing. Now, I see from where you are, then it's probably a little bit peaking to you because it's kind of loud. I will probably try and stay at 0 just so you don't have these, but you know, it's a full mix of stuff being pushed to you, of course. And it's an example. It's just a middle part. This is probably the last, no, this is actually the last arrangement part that I've designed. These machine drum stuff, the kicks, and the sound effects here. I think in an afternoon, I took these kicks. I don't know if you know, Unfiltered Audio makes some of the most amazing glitch effects ever known to man. I love these people. I've never met these guys. I would love to. Unfiltered Audio, thank you very much for doing this stuff, because it destroys sounds. I have Dent 2, I have Spec Ops, I have Instant Delay, whatever other stuff that I think they also make. It should be here. Instant Delay, of course, that's what we were taking a look at. What did I dial also? Unfiltered, it's gonna be here on some other stuff. We'll find it. It's here. Retro, where did I see that? Oh, okay, here, Spec Ops. And I have all of my weird modulators. So this one's glitch percussion generator, okay? So do your own research and kind of just profile your sound with the tools you have. Take a set of tools and start working with it. It will be so rewarding, and it will be your template for that project, okay? For that project. So these are the drum machines I designed, then the drums, then the things, and they all are in folders. I will go now back to the routing, which is important as well. You see all of them are into folders. Bitwig loves when you use folders. How do I know? Because I approached Bitwig. Hi, Lucy and Christian, by the way. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to just use this stuff if you're watching this stream or later on in the future. Because it's skyrocketing the ideas and speed at which I can deliver stuff. Really, really cool. It locks to tempo, MIDI sync. I mean, I've proven I have quite a setup, but it still works. It doesn't miss a beat. It doesn't skip, it doesn't flinch, it doesn't stutter. It's fantastic. So I was using audio tracks as buses or effect returns as buses. Don't do it. That's probably sort of a heritage from being Pro Tools oriented, Nuendo oriented. Do folders. Folders are amazing. Everything here you see goes to beats. I know it's a folder because it's greater than the sign. When I see that, it's all correct. The ins are the inputs, so they are all fine. And this goes to mix, master, okay? So this goes to mix master, okay? Here, right? So beats goes to my mix bus. Is it okay? Yes. Drums, all of these drums master, they go to my mix master. All of the grooves, all of the basses, all of the synths. I don't know why bass is singular. Should be basses. Okay, now it's correct. All of the synths, all of the orchestra. Well, this is one orchestra. I like to think of it that way. All effects, and all effects could probably be just effects, because that's gathering everything, and it's a folder, but it's a folder that doesn't have anything, you see? Because you can use folders as buses, which is unbelievably cool. and we will tweak the buses in a second. So here's all the effects. They go to Effects Master. The 2-bus retard goes to Effects Master, Timeline, Big Sky, Volante, Avalanche Run. I could even make a bus for hardware effects. Okay, we could do that. Do we want to do that? Let's do that. Okay, we create a folder. All right, how cool is that? We don't want to put this group in a group. I'll probably put it outside. Can I put it outside? Yeah, of course. We close it, we put it back here, boom, okay. So we call these hardware effects, okay? Not effects, just hardware effects, okay? And we send these to Mix Master, okay? Important because this has to be Mix Master. So I don't know why this has all ints. It should be no input, probably. Or it was referring to MIDI, whatever I've created. So now we have effects and we have hardware effects, okay? What I can do here is I can take my 2-bus return and send it to not Effects Master, but to Hardware Effects Master, here. So now my Timeline, Big Sky, Volante, Avalanche Run, and Black Hole go to 2-bus return, and 2-bus return goes to the folder, which is Hardware Effects, right? But now the question rises and says the following. Why don't we just send these pedals to Hardware Effects, which is my 2-bus return? We could do that. We don't need the 2-bus return, right? Okay, so we do it. Do we want to do it? We do it. We do it. Okay, so we take 2-bus return, the Hardware Effects, which has that return there, and we can even say, I don't want to put the hardware effects. I will use an input here, and I will pick my 2-bus return. So now when I play this track, when it stays in monitoring, it will funnel my 2-bus outside. So it's up to you how you want to do it. I'm just proving you a point that folders are incredibly powerful. So to have an effect for a return, I'm thinking it makes no sense. So I'm gonna take these, move it here, take the input of this track and take it away, and now I have an hardware effects funnel here, which could be even called 2-bus return, right? Because it's that, right? And this one that was just unity gain with whatever here, we can delete, right? Boom, done. Now, if I play the DW8000 again, or what was it, the Amiga, which has Timeline, Big Sky, and Black Hole, when I play it, I will put these into monitor here. Do I have solos? No, all right. And this one here, it should play, right? Right? So it's playing, it's giving me the same thing. I don't have it as an effect return that then goes to another bus. It's just there, right? It's another 2-bus return folder that doesn't go to effects, goes the other way around, okay? Now, why do I like these? And maybe there's also something that might say, well, it was probably better before somehow, right? Okay, but it's a different idea. We can do it this way. I could put the 2-bus return on a tool here and copy some of the stuff. For example, my effects bus has a -6 gain, which hardware effects doesn't have, so we need to put it. I could gain down here. I have a +24 because I have a -12, sorry, there. So it needs to be, I want usually to have a little bit more gain from the effects. That's how I like to set them. It just offsets things nicely. It's my own taste again. And I need to go +24 on the 12 that I have there because I'm going also -12 on the inputs. Okay, so I'm not really doing +24. But I need to do -6 because I like to have -6 on all of the buses usually. And you see here this tool I have on everything. So beats, drums, grooves, basses, synths, they all drop 6 dBs down, right? Orchestra doesn't have it. Gosh, needs to. Let's copy it there. Boom. So orchestral sounds, for example, these Symphobia here, this guy. Let's play this guy here. Okay, it's a little bit low, right? So do we have a volume fader here? Yes, so we put it at 0. Right, so. If I can play that, that'd be awesome. So we can play a little bit up. Right, you hear that staccato? It has no effects, it's just the library itself, which I know James hates, but it's a beautiful library. I use it so much. And for example, I want to put some avalanche run. Usually the orchestral sounds I like to have avalanche run on. So here it's just a little bit long. Right? So now this, for example, is going to the 2-bus retard for what matters for its own effects, but it could also go to my physical reverbs, to my, plugin reverbs. So for example, Rebouncer 2. Let's hear, maybe Bouncer 4 is a little bit more decisive. You hear it? It's there, behind. All right, so this is what Rebouncer 4 does. Cool, okay. But that one's going through the tool, which I haven't copied, I actually moved, shame on me. And then it's going to a Pro C2 for sidechaining basses. Okay, so we do it this way. And then there's a filter bank that just carves the lows. I do this a lot on a lot of situations. So here comes resource management. How do we actually make it possible for us to kind of just, oh, there's 2 tools, to actually kind of optimize resources? Because if I do it this way, I need to do Pro C2 and filter bank, right? So it's nice because I get to control my hardware effects versus the normal effects. But do I need to do it? That's another very important point that I want to make. Do I need to do it? I don't. So while this is a nice scenario, we don't necessarily need these at all, okay? So we can start undoing until we get back to the 2-bus retard as an effect that then goes into the all effects. Let's see if Bitwig handles all of these undos. Right, up until we get, all right, hold on, we're almost there. Insane the stuff I've done. Okay, I think we're there now. Okay, awesome. So I'm back at how I was. I have my track here playing 2-bus return. Everything's fine. It's going into tool. It's got a Pro C2 and it's got a filter bank F202. If it's the same thing, why would I want to mess with duplicating that? But maybe I want to carve some effects a little bit more. Somebody might want to do it less. Doesn't matter. So the only thing I need to do is copy the orchestral here because we need a -6 on that one as well. And the other thing you can optimize is this. You see here what I have? I have my F202 with a filter, right? So, for example, let's try and emphasize these to oblivion, just to make a point. Let's play this track. Let's put the avalanche run on full, and let's put some survival as well. Okay. So these are the effects. Okay, it's got a lot of nice lows, But you see what it's doing, it might be a little bit too much, right? So for example, this would be without the filter itself. So this, what did I have? 100? Straight ahead 100, okay? So without the filter, let's go -1. For example, to me, by experience, it builds up too much. So I like to filter that, okay? But you notice here, there's an input and there's an output as well. So resources, in my case, being very important because I want to compose and mix and do everything together. When I funnel these, even if it's a very small plugin, this tool, it still is a process for your DAW. And to me, it doesn't quite make sense to have -6, the sidechain, and then the other thing around here, right? It doesn't make sense. Why? Because I could easily put the filter first and then the sidechain, okay? So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna actually do this now. So I'm gonna delete the tool. I'm gonna take filter bank up here. I'm gonna open it up and I'm gonna make this HPF 12, whatever. I don't use usually the LPF on these buses. I just like this. But we're gonna go input -6. Boom. So we go -6 down initially as it was before, and then we go into the HPF, and then we go out, okay, into the Pro C2. Now the Pro C2 has lost its side chain, right? So we need to input it because it needs to. So what I want to do here is beats, and I want beats master to be in pre my sidechain source, okay? So let's take a long sound. Let's double check the other buses first, and then we do the same thing, right? So I'm gonna take filter bank, copy it, go to orchestral, go here to tool, which I know is a -6. I don't want it. I paste it, and filter bank is coming up here, right? So filter bank, if I open it, it's got -6 and the 100 Hertz high pass. That's nice. Then we scroll to the left and we go to synths, right? We take tool, we destroy it, we just go here. This one's wrong though because it didn't have the -6. So we copy it, we put it first, and then my KHS actually has a stereo change, a little bit of a sort of a mid-channel de-enhancer. Doesn't make any sense to say that, but that's how it is. Let's check this one, and you can see that it's Wave Alchemy Synth Drum 3. No, I want Beats Master Pre. Okay, so that's my sidechain source. We keep going, we keep going. Now here, the danger is the basses. Do we want to mess with the -6, putting something like the filter, the high pass at 100 Hertz for the bass? No, probably not. But we could find either no filter at all, like this, or a setting of bass that works. And it's obviously gonna be the latter, okay? But then we have to check here that basses has Beats Master Pre, so we're all good. Let's check it. Maybe no, okay, this was wrong. Beats Master Pre, boom, done. Because it's the beats that regulate the sidechain to me, all right? Then there's drums with tool, we take, oh, there's grooves actually. So we take grooves away, we take filter, we actually put it like this. So we were only doing -6, and then we do here, we put it first on the grooves, and then we take drums and we do the same thing on the drums. I just want to have a gain function that will give me also the possibility of using a high pass if I want, and a low pass. I've been using filter bank for many years. If you want to use just a normal EQ, we can. Let's try that on Bitwig. So beats, we take the tool, which is -6, I don't sidechain the drums and I don't sidechain the grooves, so there's no Pro C there. So here we go paste, we move it up here, we open it, and we don't have the lows carved here, but we could do it, okay? So if I take the beats, for example, in, let's take a badass part you all heard, these. Okay, so this one's its thing. It's got filter bank, it's got KHS stereo doing full mono, it's got a Reason Rack plugin, which is a distortion by Blamsoft. This is just beautiful, the tube thing. And then it's got Sonic EQ by Metric Halo, and this is another fantastic EQ. So I'm kind of, as you can see, I'm shaping this sound with this one, right? But it's nice to have this possibility first. So this is my trim EQ. That's why also they made a plugin that only has 2 filters, okay? So if I take these and I take the bass, we can do that now, playing with the bass and fine-tuning our relationship between the 2 filters. And I like to do that as a composer. Why do I do that? If I'm a mixing engineer, no, I'm composing. Why shouldn't a mixing engineer do it instead of a composer? You know, to me, this shapes the sound and the behavior of the tune from the get-go, and it's important somehow. So it just makes it a lot faster to give buses their own summing somehow. And to me, it's not really even dependent on the song, although, okay, if you have a song in F and you have a song in C sharp minor, you probably will shift your resonant points because it will probably not highlight the frequency you want. But for the most part, a filter at 100 Hertz is a filter at 100 Hertz. So it will probably be okay, you know. Now, the settings here, let's play the beats and the bass. Right? That's the part. How easy, how nice is that, right? Let me just take a look at morph verb here. Yes, this has the settings. I needed to double check that because I thought I didn't dial in the dry wet. Okay, so now we can really do shaping here. For example, we could find a point at which the bass lets my kicks breathe a little bit better. So I'm gonna start from here. And you get it, right? Extreme, right? Now, honestly, I don't want to have it here. Let me try and do it with the kicks, actually. So it's a matter of deciding who do you want to put in the extremes, okay? Maybe I don't want the kicks to be that extreme. Okay, so it could be a matter of just going a little bit lower, maybe. You see, for example, I kind of like 30 Hertz, you know, plain straight number that works. Let's try without and with. The first hits have a lot of sub. Let's try just those two. I don't know. I don't know. Do we want to filter that? Maybe not. I'll leave it here. All right. So we just got the -6, but we can do it. We could resonant. We could use a resonant kind of. We could resonate. That's what I wanted to say. The frequency here, just to get a little bit of a bump. For example. Here, all these changes. I'm gonna put it back at 32. I'm undecided between 31-ish thing or 28. well, you know what? Kind of sounds nice. I'll keep it there off. See, for example, how it works. Very nice. And you get all that. So that's the beats, that's the grooves, the filter bank on the grooves. Maybe we don't want to do that as well, but I'm gonna keep it at 30 just because, or 32, just because if I instantiate it, I have it right off the bat. Let me try the grooves as well. I mean, these ones, they don't have tons of lows. They actually do. So do I want to carve them? No. All right, we keep them there. That's how it works. The bass, the beats, the drums. Now we put in the synthesizers, and then we hear. Aha, so now this works, right? Let's try without. Right? Does it make sense? Might be a little bit too dehydrated, but I think it works. Is there orchestral stuff here? I could play that. We could try and integrate that part. Okay. So did I do it? Of course not. Where's the orchestra? Here. All right. So F9 and play. Oh, I don't have a pre-roll. So play on 2. I'm gonna play. I'm not quantize it. We're gonna quantize it later. So just this. Okay. Okay, I like this part and I want to repeat it. Okay, have you heard how everything's crapping down on me? And because I'm at a responsive, let me take a look at here. Okay, take a look here. Low latency 512. So the interface is trying to give me kind of a better deal with the 512. All right, it's an Aurora USB thing. It will work, trust me. So it craps out, it doesn't matter. Let's do quantize this because I want to put effects on it. Or actually, let me hear how I played this part with the delay and stuff that I had, right? So I think this was quantized. Am I this awesome? I am awesome. I'm awesome. Okay. I'd say, well, you can tell. Let's pretend we like it that way. I'm not gonna quantize because with the orchestral stuff, I kind of tend to not do it. Let me try and do a brass bram here, here, here. Let's try and do that. Or what do I want to play? Let me try. All right, at the very end, let's try and play this. This. Already? Let's go in flat 6 and slanting down. All right, it was here. Maybe better. Hold on. Okay. I'm still thinking maybe it could start here. So we're gonna do this here. So let's just hear the brass with the strings. I haven't heard it. Why? Ah, maybe I need to do this. Hold on. Maybe I need to come up with it. No, okay, it didn't quite play as I wanted. Why didn't it do it? Oh, right. Because this one, why did it hold? It shouldn't. This one. Okay, we got it, people. We got it. Okay, so what we need to overdub is the expression that I haven't done. Okay, let's do this. Okay. You really like, okay, thank you, Marco. I know you were there. You don't need to type all the time. I'm just, I'm good talking to myself because I can do it all day long. But I appreciate you liking the sound. So, okay, what are these sounds? So this is, I think it's Forzo from Heaviosity, but it's going into Fury and it's going into the 60-30. So see, when I play that, because it's a Bram, I think it is from Forza. It's a beautiful sample library for brasses, but not for brass that isn't really classical somehow. So normally it would sound like if I bypass Fury, which I keep thinking, is there a bypass? I never bypass it from here anyway, so. And now obviously, oh, it's actually super low, and I have, okay. See, it's just down there, right? But with Fury, it becomes a little bit infuriated. Okay, so, and the C671 is, I always use it. On orchestral stuff, I just put it on. And we're actually going to do the same thing on the synth. And that one I usually do not use just on the bass. I like to have it also on instruments sometimes. So for example, this one, what I think is that I need to actually move these a little bit more, and this should be a little bit closer here. They need to overlap a little bit. Let's try that. These could stay in the song, who knows? I didn't want to write brass and strings, but the more I don't want to do it, the more it happens. Right, so now the brass kind of overlap. I'm so used to playing against these velocities that I don't replay it. I just move the segments before and it's okay. Right? Okay, so now I wanted to demonstrate that it's crapping out on us, right? From the stuff that we have. Nice, okay, so. Right? When the sounds come in, it's like, and you didn't think this was brass. Yeah. The music I write, except for the music I picked when I made Future in the Past, had a lot of strings that were more strings, like a action movie kind of stuff, So modern music for an action TV series, that kind of stuff. So strings have a lot of staccato and spiccato parts, and they're very fast. And there's brass as well, which is behind. But I don't think there's strings in the outskirts as well. Like things I've picked makes me look like I use strings and brass a lot, because they kind of, for how I picked the songs that I didn't want to just forget, they were not licensed, so I made records. I said that's how I do it. And but I don't usually use a lot of strings and brass. When I do, probably it's very hard to kind of get that they're there, you know, that they are actual brass because they're so mangled, which is what is happening now. They're kind of getting mangled, and I think the 671 is. Have you heard it? It just ever so slightly places the orchestral stuff a little bit behind. There's that attack factor that you can change from the plugin. That's a beautiful part. This is so cool. Now, one thing I think I would need to do because of how much delay I've used here on this part is that these should actually need to be probably quantized. Probably. So if I knew how to do it, I would probably put it as a duplicate, right? So, but let's say I want to just print this, right, for the orchestral stuff. Does all orc have this? Yes. Oh, there's a manley on it. I wonder how this sounds without. So let's try and do a print of these two, which is also how I do it. So let me see if I can quantize this to what, 16ths? Do we do the ends as well? No, the ends we don't do. We humanize, we don't humanize. Last thing I want to have in my music is humanized stuff. That's another perfect example of creative producing, you know, having been producing for quite some time. Do I want to quantize everything just because? No. Do I have to? Does it sound better when it's quantized? Which is ultimately what we want to have. In theory, not. If you play it right, I always like the orchestral stuff to be a little bit, actually 100% human, unless there's something wrong that I've played, you know, wrong note and stuff. And the beats and basses and synths to be the ones that are the machine, you know, because when I do voices, orchestral brass, I don't use woodwinds almost ever. I don't think I've ever used them. I don't know why. I don't know. They give me that Tchaikovsky thing that I love, but I don't use woodwinds. So brass and strings I like to humanize a lot, not quantize. But if you noticed, there's a lot of low frequency content that is actually no longer clouding the take because the take is completely quantized. So the hits happen in a way that I am sure is probably canceling some of the lows between the delay effects and stuff. But it's beneficial because we don't really want a cloud of lows from these strings. We want that middle texture, right? We don't want the extreme lows and stuff. So we could act at a EQ level on the individual tracks if we want strings part that are concentrating in the middle, but we could also act at an orchestral level. On a song like this, for a template like this, I think, you know, like having one EQ there could be nice. So for example, now we do synth strings. If I want to print these, which I think, let's hear it if we can. Okay, okay, this is wrong. This is being quantized wrong. Maybe I wanted to do this. We'll find out. See, I'm copying the second notes as second notes. No, oh, okay, no, I think this is, how was it? Maybe here? See, that's the problem with quantizing. Now we don't know what he wanted to do. Yeah, okay, so this was probably not like that. So let's do that. Let's take this track. Let's go, let's just bypass the avalanche run and survival. Yeah, no, okay. Da-da-da. Let's do that. Let's quantize it like that. Did we quantize the nodes as well? No. Okay. So I think I wanted to just do this. Why not? This could work. I forget that it's control to go. No. Okay. This should be. Did you quantize it? No. Why isn't it playing what I want? It's correct. It needed to, okay, so maybe we need to do this. Copy this first one on the first one, the second one, or maybe on the fourth one here. What is it here? Let's fix this. Before here. Ah, yeah, of course. It wasn't about that. It was the top line, just playing the D. But I think it's actually fine. I want to do that. I just need to move these. Okay, they went backwards. Okay, now I see where we are. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Okay, yeah. I just needed to be this. There's nothing really fancy about that. I'm gonna take, yeah, maybe these one. Okay. Yeah, it was just that part, sorta. Yeah, I don't know. I probably didn't play it right. And while we're at it, what we could do is we turn on the layers, probably get what here? Velocity, contact. Oh, these are patches. Oh no. Oh no. Where is it? Where is what I need? I think it's in here somewhere. Show node expression. There it is. Velocity. Turn on. That was automation. So this part I want to kind of scale a little bit. Let's see if we can do that. Maybe we can draw it. Can I draw it? Is there a pencil here? Yeah. All right. Here. Starting here. Let's try. Yeah. Okay. A little bit like that. Yeah, all right. That's exactly what my strings needed to do without the humans doing it on my behalf and getting paid trillions. Unfortunately, this would get pretty expensive to run. So let's say this is nice. This is what we want. There might be more F-ups here. I see that. Nope. Here. Yeah. This guy goes here. Okay, this is that here. No, okay, here. Hit him. Right, okay. Do we draw it? Yes. Do we draw it? Yes. Do we do it like this? Yes. Oola, no. Okay, let's say we'll like it. It's masterpiece. That's exactly what we want. Now, it will get completely drenched into a lot of these avalanche run reverb, right? But, thank you very much. What I wanted to do here is I want to print this. So if I do bounce, let's try that. That's something I usually do a lot. I can bounce in place and then I disable this. I'll probably bounce it in place. Hey Mars Monkey Max, awesome nickname. Welcome. We are just doing stuff, weirdly enough. Talking about my template, how I work and things, just writing notes and stuff around. But we are at a point where my session is really heavy, and so we're trying to find ways to still be fast and creative, but we need to free resources. So how do we do it? For example, if I want this part to happen, I could easily, because this part has a contact and a compressor, I could easily go bounce in place, and it's doing. Ethan will bother you a little bit because it's just the bot here, but it's very kind. So I'm very human. So appreciate you saying hi to Ethan because nobody does, but it's still better than most humans we know. A bot. So now this part is bounced. So because it's bounced, I bounced it in place. So this is interesting to say, became a hybrid track. Half human, half machine. It's a hybrid track. That's what is this DAW called? Bitwig Studio does. So it's a hybrid track because it can still play MIDI. Right? For example, but there's audio on it. And if I press play, isn't it awesome? So you can have a MIDI track and there's, there are a lot of live mods on other channels. True, absolutely. I'm poor and unknown. I need to have bots. I don't have, the luxury of having, but that'd be much better. The people I watch for streams when they play games on Twitch and stuff, they have just moderators that do it. I'm completely lonely. I talk to myself. Nobody wants me. And we were saying with Marco yesterday, I make the music your sound card will make when your CPU is at 100%. That's this album I'm making is probably sounding pretty much like that. It's just a sound card with the CPU at 100% because it's glitchy to say the least. But we'll see. There's a difference. But it will be hard to hear glitches in my audio cards while some of my sounds are playing because they're, or is it supposed to be like that? It's not supposed to be like that. You don't know. So the curiosity I have here, I want to bounce this bad boy here as well. Let's go bounce in place. I love that Bitwig doesn't even bother you with having you monitor the thing. It just says, bounce in place, F it, done, Honestly, I can appreciate that it's, have you seen how fast that was? And I can undo that, just every moment. Let's try and do that, right? Control B, boom, bam, done. It's really, really nice. So now I want to hear the both of them together, which have been printed in terms of MIDI. But the track itself, if I highlight it, still has Contact on, still has the Ultimate Comp on it, right? So have I freed resources? We don't know. So what we're going to do is we're just going to play it and we'll hear if it craps out on us like it used to. Because we could have just printed something, but the resources are there. So. Okay, so quantizing that part and not checking it was a huge mistake. But, yeah, we need to fix that for sure. But it sounds to me as if it, okay, let's go back to fix it. And let's play it again. Is it crapping out on us here? Apparently it is. So Marcia, I also hate when rendering, if you have to go through the timeline, just do it behind the scenes. There are things that I like, speaking of being creative and things. As an engineer, like when I'm composing, my engineering side is really tied and put into a basement because I cannot have this voice say, why don't you check 552 hertz? Maybe there's, shut up. I'm composing. I would rather have a song that has a vibe, but is completely imperfect, even if I think I mixed it greatly, than something that is absolutely perfect, but just sounds like crap. It's not giving me anything, right? So if I'm mixing a record for somebody, as I've done in the years before the pandemic, I was doing a lot of engineering because you joined now, and I've said it at the beginning of the stream. And okay, so if I'm printing, I have to do analog passes, so those have to be real time. Okay, but even if it wasn't, I would still want to hear the mix while it's printing, because the things you hear when things are getting final are insane. I know it's frustrating, but it's for the best. Okay. Now, fast forward after the pandemic, studio closes, I work back as a composer, freelance, whatever, licensing things. Now I am absolutely not interested in hearing this part while it's bouncing, because we'll spot the mistakes. It's no problem. We're at composing levels, right? So if it goes 1-to-1, I'm like, please, I have other ideas. I want to go fast, And so we usually listen a lot, exactly, like you say, over and over before doing the final mix. Absolutely. So if it was real time, I would use the real time to monitor, and it's still writing to disk a lot and doing weird stuff. No. I mean, it needs to be like this. If we don't want to do it, we don't do it. And yes, we render at 24 bits. I mean, so, it works. It will work. And we'll spot mistakes when they happen. It's just no problem. But for example, we heard it here. This one doesn't work. This is not what I want. So we go here. Let me see where I'm. Yeah, here. Zoom in to the offending folks that didn't get here. That didn't get quantized. All right, here. And it's then just a note. Come on. Also, another composer comment. If you have the velocities done right, I don't want to say it's a masterpiece of expression, but the Bass Station 2 is an amazing controller as well. I like how smooth that is. And, if you have that and you're quantizing because you have long delays, and we proved it. Probably, Mars, you weren't here. We were hearing, I need to quantize it because the delays will clash after a little bit, and they will make the low frequency content bloom, which can be beautiful. Here I don't need it. So yeah. And even if it's quantized 100%, no humanizing factors, the velocity really makes it expressive in a way. So, see, there's missing notes here and there, but we don't, do we want it? Yeah, okay. But the velocities, some parts have redone. Like here, no, okay. Looking pretty good. And you stay here, you polish it, you do your stuff, and then you do Control B, right? By saving constantly and printing, and boom, done. And this thing, done. Okay. Now my question is, how do we really free resources? It sounds to me as if it's kind of better. But do we want to make different tracks? Nope. It's already using less resources. I heard it clip less. Probably what you can do is go to Contact and Alt-click Buy. And same thing here. Buy. Right off the bat. So 2 contacts less for these 2 libraries should be a lot of memory. I don't know. But I'm still using kind of a low buffer, right? So does Bitwig have advanced articulation like Cubase Nuendo's? I don't know. Like, I don't think it gets to Nuendo's level of articulations for strings and stuff. I might be wrong because I'm like 1 week old in Bitwig, so I don't really know for sure. But I think the maps in Nuendo's and Cubase are probably off the hook. Like, as far as I know, between that and Digital Performer, they're the top you can get if you're into a lot of articulating stuff. I have friends who do it a lot and have done their templates years ago. They can still use them in today's Cubase and Nuendos. I am a completely different mess. If I need long strings now, you know what I'm gonna say. It's horrible. I'm gonna say it. I create a second track with long strings, and I just play the long strings. And in my templates for stuff that I've done with most strings and brass, I don't write for woodwinds a lot. I don't know, just my palette usually. If it's orchestral stuff, there's voices, like choir, brass, and strings, and percussion. And I might have 6, 7 string tracks all disabled, and then I enable them when I want short strings, but I don't do articulations. So for me, if Bitwig doesn't have it, that's why I don't know it, because it's just like I still haven't. When I opened Bitwig, I didn't go like, oh, does it have articulation expression maps? I don't really know. I don't want to say yes, no, whatever, because I don't know. So let's play these two now. Seems better. Seems better. Let's try and close these folders. And so we have kind of an easier time. And let's go, I don't know, beats. It's not crapping out on us for whatever reason. Also, I forgot. Oh no, I brought back the avalanche run, which is nice. And do we hear these or the effects or not? I didn't know. Okay, hold on. I heard a boop. I know who's that guy. This is this guy. No, it's not. Who is it? I played it, so there's nobody that can make mistakes but me. I think it's here. No, where? Who? Why? No. Okay. Hold on. We got tons of things in here. It's probably somewhere in here with the grooves. Nope. Basses, beats. Sounds almost like it's. I have no. Who's making my life miserable? All right, we're gonna do it like this. You're in here. I know it's you. Yeah, I found you. I like these parts, but right. It's gotta be in here. Why can't I find these beats? This I hold on. He's gotta be somewhere. There we go. So we don't see it because that's entirely my bad. Here. Boom. It's a wrong loop. It's not a wrong note. I didn't play a wrong note. I just didn't Bitwig the heck out of me. So sounds good now. It's not crapping as much as it was before because I kind of saved resources, and I can do these a lot in other stuff that really doesn't need a lot of playing in it, right? So that short string bounce might sound brighter with some light saturation on the top end. Yes, okay, that leads me, that's a good question or point. It leads me to something about composing things and taste for myself. It's a busy line and I just wrote it to write it. I don't think it really needed the strings and the brass. Probably yes. Let's try and do without strings. All right, let's say yes, okay? Because this is just reverse cymbal kind of stuff, right? But what about the strings? Because there's this part here, which is, I don't remember, coil, okay? Coilus. Okay, so good point, which is not exactly the point I needed to make, but now we're gonna make. Okay, so choices. Is it coil or is it strings? It's two different palettes, two different probably approaches. If it was a second kind of chorus, maybe you could bring the strings down and have coil do it, but I don't think I'm gonna have a second chorus in here to just diversify things. So I like how coil is really destroying things around and just making it wide, because it needs to be, I was commissioned, so it's probably, they don't want strings. I don't think it's a brass and string thing that will do it. But personally, I don't write strings that are even mildly in front of me. They usually are kind of these dark. I wouldn't say dark. How would you say that? It's not the word dark. But you said, if we just go a touch of light saturation instead of EQing, and that's absolutely true. We're gonna try that. Just try and make it predominant. The distant, like a little bit of a backdrop, exactly. So that's why I use the avalanche run, and sometimes even in pre-fader, and that's why I could not use, for example, other DAWs that have just global pre-post fader stuff, because these one, for example, could need to be pre-fader on the avalanche run, which is what I use for most orchestral stuff. If we had the room for it, Patrick says, articulation can be created through the grid, but this is not a quick snack. It will require some work. Okay, thank you, Patrick. Patrick is a wizard of Bitwig. He stays here every week now because he's probably, he wants to punish himself. I'm getting better, but the first week was probably like, why is he doing things that way? Why hasn't he read not even the manual, like something about it? But I just dove into a Bitwig using it like Pro Tools, and it does work. It just doesn't say no. You can do that. So if the strings here had to be even more distant and just setting a backdrop, not for this moment in the song, but maybe for a different cue. This could be a different cue, right off the bat. You just reverse things, remove the grooves, have this part become an atmospheric thing. And it's still the same movie, it's still the same game. And that's why people say, it's just so nice because it sets the mood and the whole thing is there, and you download the, soundtrack, listen to it, and you go, or most of them in famous video games or even on Spotify and stuff, you don't need to download anything. You just go, it's not a lot of stuff. And why is that? Well, because most of the cues kind of work in different ways, the way you assemble them. So this idea could be, we set it distant, we have the vibe, we put the avalanche run high in pre, we lower the volume of the fader, we all of a sudden have a completely watered down orchestral style. I never know if I want to say orchestra or orchestral, and I end up saying something in between. Strings part, right? But number one, I don't want to do it here. Number two, using a ton of reverb here on this part will water down the thing too much. So we bring it back at +6, because that's, I think, where it was. Right, so we do kind of this. I don't hear my tubas. There we go. Do I hear it? No. Okay, that's probably my bassing that is not doing me justice here. It needs to be like this. All right. There's definitely a lot of it, right? Okay. So you hear how it's mixed now? I don't want to name names, but this is no longer Alberto Di Soschettino. This is just, I don't want to say a good piece, but this is just any action movie ever, okay? Which is okay. You might be asked to do that. Just don't fall into gigs that want to have somebody who sounds like a big shot by saying, I put credits in and you do it for free, whatever, because there's a lot of copycats for famous composers. Don't do that. But, this could be the part. You don't need to. It's beautiful, just as simple as that is. And it works. There's just the strings and whatever, the middle part in there, right? Not kicking things around, just the effects from the return and the orchestral part, not even direct sounds, and that's how it does it. But I don't want it forward, so we don't do a lot of reverb. We must choose if we want coil or not. I'll mute these and then we hear how that works. And then we said, okay, what if I want it in the business there, but I wanted to make the part within the plethora of sounds I have. Okay, so we go, for example, one thing I've done that I like a lot is a 60-60. I've used this thing forever, So we open this, which is opening for us because it takes some time, and we're risking it because we're working without sandboxing the plugins. So I save just for whatever reason. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna load. I'm actually gonna go no module on 1, and on 2 I'm gonna go this 671 saturation. Okay, this I've used a lot in a lot of situations. So I'm gonna solo it just to have you hear saturation and tone. Easy, you saturate, it gets brighter. You wanna compensate, you go tone down in negative, it's done. So this one doesn't actually get brighter, it gets louder, but we can do a little bit denser here, a little bit higher tone. Hear how nice that is? Awesome. It just displaces the orchestra into it. So now we're gonna play it, and then if I need to compensate the output, I'm gonna go lower on the output. And then we can also do something weird. I'm gonna prepare it here. Put it on bus B. This is number B. We're gonna distort it and put it in parallel, okay? You heard it? Let's bypass it. Okay, we go home. Done. It's as simple as that. 20, 30-ish something. Okay, I'm gonna turn it on while we go. Don't take a look at the D100 because the 100 is completely off. It's actually, let's do it like that. It's muted. So path B starts from module 3 because I've hit this number here. So they're doing 1 and B. It's done. I'm gonna press 2 and it's gonna go on, okay? Okay, a little bit better, but not as it used to be before. Now we split, that's why I wanted to split it, but we go distortion and we bring up the B. You hear how brighter, but not brighter, like the attack of the bows are just better. I've used these tones, and this is how I got, one of the many ways you can take your strings to be kind of a more machine, sort of like a cybernetic kind of thing, like not wood any longer, but more like, mechanized somehow. I kind of like it a lot. So don't use it because that's how I do it. So find yourself your own plugins, do it with a different thing. Hopefully you won't like it, so please don't do it. It's time. I've made a lot of these jokes. Like this, well, don't do it, right? Find something else. But this is a great combo. It's a parallel saturation scenario. So 671 is on A, the D100 is on B. You just tailor things around, and you could do tons of things like just compress it, everything like that. But it's much better than EQ and compression as usual with saturation. It's usually that case, right? You place it on, it does a little bit of both things, and exactly, like clarity is always a balance, There's a point in which, that's why your monitoring has to be good. You say like, that's enough. You don't want to take the strings and do this. It's not wrong, but it's like, why? It completely throws everything off. Let the listener just go into the sphere, right? And just pick things. Also, a lot of the music I tend to write will be tested on headphones, because the gaming community mostly uses headphones, especially if it's competitive gaming and that stuff. So it will get mastered differently. Lots of mid-high frequencies will get scooped or dynamically, whatever, compressed, just not to let the sound effects be overwhelmed by the music, because you need to be aware of your surroundings in the game to play and win, right? Compete, for example. But with headphones, it's a lot easier to go scout your own stuff, yet it's also overwhelming because everything is in your ears. So if you do this volume move, you'll pay dearly in headphones, because on speakers it still has the room helping me blend stuff, Could you not use something like Mac DSP AS3 to duck the other high frequency audio? Yeah, absolutely. I haven't done it, for example. You mean the dynamic, what is it, like the AE, the dynamic EQ, or ducking the other high frequency audio? Yeah, absolutely. You could do that. I have never done it, for example, at bus level usually. I've just usually done it this way. Now I'm not gonna use this just because I didn't want that part to be that bright, but absolutely, yeah. And okay, I see what you mean. Yeah. The dialogue enhancer. Yeah, we can try that. That's again, I've used that, the SA3. You mean the let's see. Let's see who it is. Is it SA3? Is it SA? What is it? Dialogue AS3? No, dialogue SA2. Okay, why don't I have the SA3? Because it's not Windows yet? Could be, but 2 is kind of similar. The spectral processor. Yeah, I have no idea why I don't have the 3. Spectral Pro. Oh, there we go. SA3. This was available first on the SA2. I've used gazillions of times on post-production. Even in games, when I've sent stuff that was tracked in my studio, I always had a little bit of post-production done. It's here, SA3. Why did I type SA3? It wasn't working. But the SA3, when it got released, was Mac only, and then it was Windows, and by the time it came out, they didn't need the beta any longer, so they were doing it. So yeah, you could do it. We could do this. I'm opening it for like the 3rd time now. So if we want to set a scale here to just point it on, we can kinda let me see the detection. Okay. Madison bias scale. This is a lot more complicated than that is. The range, it's not grabbing a lot of, not of it. What do I have to do to turn it on? Trimming. Okay, here. Scale, range, density, monitor, detect, bell, pan, output. Why is it not giving me anything at all? Because it's not bringing things around. Do I have to do trim, listen, bias, scale? All right. That's not how I thought it would work. But I'll show you the SA2 because I need to work on my SA3. I didn't even know. I mean, I knew I had it. I just completely forgot because it's introduced. Here, if we need to take this and you have the opposite, like you have a little bit of nosy strings, these also works. Yeah, I think maybe we're kind of low on signal. I'll see that. But like, for example, this one works the other way around. If you want to kind of tame the nose of strings you record a little bit too close. So if you have strings you record for real, some people still do, hopefully, and you have Neumann mics, you're the wrong microphone set for the gig, especially if they want you to place them closer for comfort. It's wrong. They will get a little bit of a poke that this library doesn't have, but it could do that. So you can kind of get either 3 or 4. But I think here I need to go in out. Okay, because I'm low in gain, so we're not picking. I think SA3 is doing that because we're kind of low. But is there an input? Aha, maybe not. Okay, I need to crank it before. But for example, this one. Okay. It's incredibly, like, it's really subtle, but here it goes a little bit behind, you know, and I mean, band mode, I usually kind of leave it like that. Sometimes, I mean, this library is definitely not a good example because it's not problematic, but low mids sometimes for cellos and for violas are kind of weird. This thing is like, people can say, did you process it? No, you told me to send it out raw. Oh, awesome, you know, and then they hear it and go like, oh, fantastic, it's a great recording. It's just a nudge. Sometimes you gotta do that because maybe the room, maybe where the cellist is playing, you know, your microphones, the room you have, maybe placed somewhere else. The guy's leaning, you know, a girl is leaning, whoever's playing that. There's tons of reasons, and maybe the tune in which the key, you know, the key of the song, you've tracked the cello in a place and it sounded fantastic. All of a sudden you change key and it doesn't work. Things like these go a long way, you know, and they feel really non-processed. Right now, obviously, we got a tons of low mids, so this one does it, but okay, now it's really emphasizing with the range, and you can hear it, right? And it's wrong. But for the highs, it was insanely cool. So I think here we're probably low. I think so. But anyway, I mean, this type of approach really works instead of taking any cue, right? That's what we were saying. Like if you take anything like this and you go, I don't know, bell, this one you disable, that's the worst thing you can usually do to strings. Maybe in context it will work. No, it doesn't. But, you know, maybe the other way around. Instead of boosting 4, maybe turn down, I don't know, 900, right? Something like this. And then you raise the volume, right? Which I can't do because I'm already blasting here. Let me do a tool here, right? Okay, so I'm carving 800, 900, and then I'm gaining up. Okay, just, I didn't want to say that, but now it's coming up. See why it's nice to brainstorm live? You don't pump the highs, you take the mass of the low mids down, and then you bring the gain back up. All of a sudden, yes, the mix itself from a mixing standpoint, it's a lot easier to translate. There's a lot of that. So I asked for an input gain. Maybe you could use some Italian Mac DSP to hint them some more. It doesn't quite work Italian with them. So, but you know, yeah, I could do that, you know. try to make the guy understand. I'm gonna talk to him, all right? I'm gonna talk to them, you know? See if you can talk to them, Alberto. All right, I'll talk to them. So Mars says, I usually try not to duck the high end with synths and orchestral lines because it can make the sound muddy or glitchy. Sounds good on vocal. A lot of vocal I mean, that's true. In general, what happens to me is that I need to do moves on sound libraries that are the opposite of what I would do with real instruments. Because sometimes they're a little bit too castrated. It depends, then you know your library and you know where to go and what to do. Sometimes you use the right library just because it will make you avoid any compression and EQ. So you pick the libraries with the ears of the engineer, not of the composer somehow, right? And that works. And the way you pick it up and use it, it's just, it just works, and it saves you tons of processing and just fiddling with EQs and other things. But libraries sometimes need the opposite of what you would do live with instruments because they're kind of overly perfect somehow, if that makes any sense. It happens a lot. For example, some 200, some 500. I'm injecting these even at here on my first batch of mix bus. I have, for example, the Soundtech here we saw it last week, it's doing 240, 1700, and 6.2-ish. And 240 would be like, why are you doing that? There's a lot of mass, but it's good. I mean, it brings back a little bit of a realistic kind of room tone. And then I am doing the SSL, and then I'm compensating here. Oh, this is good math, of course, because you got to have these plugins. The guys at Make Believe Studios are out of their minds. But I see where this plugin wants to go. I've dialed in my PIN numbers for the credit cards, everything, safety, locks, all kind of numbers. And it's just messing with gain in a way that the computer is going to have to sort of like round up and down things in a weird way. So, and there, Mars says there's a lot of good bass around 250 range. Absolutely. A lot of people that make bass mistakes, they always happen around the 100 hertz or 150 or 90 because you cut too much. And then you only have lows and subwoofers, and then you have the guitars completely disconnected, or, the mid frequencies. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It happens a lot. So, good. So when we do this, let me just take a look at. I still don't understand how I'm setting these the monitors. I don't think I need to do really anything at all. But so yeah, and then I was talking about the mix bus, and then I'm also redialing in some stuff. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm kind of regaining the highs that the SSL is kind of taking out. So I like that. Again, just subjective. And this is a group I made so that we can collapse it. Mixbus 2 has stuff that is just off, gold clip, master desk, and then there's just the limiter, which I don't think is even working at the moment. It shouldn't be compressing. Yeah, we're safe. We're super safe. I don't even know how loud I am because I retouched my monitoring. So that's just my mix bus. I cut it down to one mix bus, but I have 3 groups in there. I'll absolutely love these sectoring things around. You do like the track. Thank you very much. Reminds you of Mad Max for some reason. Yeah. I mean, on a completely different project, I've worked with the sound designer, lead audio of Mad Max. You know that? And we did sessions on I was in Berlin, and I think I had just opened the studio. It was probably 2016, and the audio lead was David, right? And then a guy says, "Do you know who he is?" You know, because they were connecting from Australia with the dialogue editors, and it was for a short movie that he was sponsoring for. He was going also to the BAFTA Awards. It was kind of a featurette thing, and they had actors in Berlin, and so they couldn't find a studio because probably nobody was available. That's how I got the best gigs ever, is just by you answered the phone because nobody wants to do them. Or they're all on holiday. In Germany, it's a German holiday. I said it last stream, and that's true. And it's like, he's David White. He's the guy of Mad Max Fury Road. He won, what was it, like an Oscar? Yes, for best sound design, I think, right? Along the other stuff that he's won. And I was like, okay, but the session was almost at the end. And all I can say is that the best people will make your work so much easier. He is just super nice dude, completely effortless, nothing to say, just, you know, just super fun, just really cool. So he had already done Mad Max Fury Road, because I think it was either 2016 or 2017, but I'm thinking the studio there officially opened in Berlin in 2016 January. So when is Mad Max Fury Road? Tom? No. We had the producer was a woman. I don't remember the name. I can look it up. And we had these Skype call or Zoom call. I think it was a Zoom call. And we were using, on Pro Tools, we were just tracking and sending their stuff through, what's that plugin called that you go send, I mean, now there's tons of providers, but usually in Pro Tools, there's one plugin that does the send return. So you track straight into their session with cues. Insane. So, and again, the actor said, you know who it is? It's White from Mad Max Fury Road. I was like, it's one of the most epic movies ever for the last 2 years. And I think it was just probably, when is Mad Max Fury Road out? 2015, 14, 16, maybe? Because we can time that. But the studio had opened probably no longer than 5-6 months. So I'm still thinking it's 2016, but it could be 17, maybe January, February, whatever, depends. But yeah, it's a movie I love. The sound design is insane. And it's just, it's got that post-apocalyptic stuff. I always like that. So, all right. So we got a compliment. What is it? 9 p.m. We go home. That's usually how it works, Mars. It was the trap I set you. No, thank you very much for real kind words. I appreciate you liking the stuff you hear, and that we brought some conversation. I usually start a little bit too early, I think, in the afternoon, because 6:30, a lot of people are at work, but then when we get to 8 p.m. and something, then people join. So I should probably move the streams to starting now until 11 p.m. We'll do that, I remember on NI was OCS. I know a big one now is that Songshare. Pro Tools had one cohesive. I still had Pro Tools Pro Tools HD, so I was on Pro Tools 10 still, I think, and they were. It's a system that basically just glues down cues. The license is extremely expensive, but you get visual cues, you get even sysx from, SMPTE code or MTCs. You can lock everything down and you track, and then you send it back. We had, I think, a 416 and a Schoeps mic, or a Sanken 12 lavalier, or a 20, I don't remember the name, but a Sanken lavalier and a 416 shotgun. And the actors were doing their parts and to redub some sections because they had cut the film, the short, differently. There was a couple scenes that weren't matching, but the guys weren't facing the camera, so they could redo it in a specific way. So probably it's OCS. Yeah. I didn't. Marcus was not. I didn't know the guy who was studio manager until we closed down, and I passed it to him, the studio when I moved here to Bayern. Um, he, I didn't know him yet. So how did I know about that? Because before that, I hadn't used it in even the dialogue stuff I'd done in Rome when I was in Italy. From Florence, I would go to Rome. Sometimes they had some stuff for video games and things, and I would get calls because they knew I loved it, not because they wanted me to be the engineer. So I would go to help, would do nothing at all, but assist, just see things, and I would see that all the time, and I was like, "What the heck is that thing over Pro Tools?" It's like all these cues and things and lines and dots, and I'm like, yeah, I think it's the studio paid for it at least. Well, I think no. I think that plugin I bought, it was around probably 2015. Yes, yes, and along with no, that was no endorsement. So I got it as one of the probably many assets software in that case that I got through the initial lease for 2015 when we moved to Berlin. Yeah. No, I had to. Yeah. Then with time, I worked a lot as product specialist, so for software and hardware stuff. So that helps a lot. If you're, I kind of like to be at the booths and just talk with people and demonstrate stuff. It's cool. I don't mind it. There's people who hate it. Even if you hate it though, if you can get a couple geeks like that, then you become kind of family. The people know it. Maybe you will have to kind of help disassemble stuff sometimes while nobody's around. That happens, but it's a good experience. I would rather do that than go play on cruise ships. Absolutely, because it's slavery sometimes. So I had a friend who did it a lot and said like, Alberto, don't you ever. So, Music Messe, the NAMM show, Super Booth, those things. If you can attend at it as a visitor, that's the best. I used to do it with my wife a lot, Music Messe and stuff, and I knew nobody, And then I started knowing a couple people maybe playing piano, and somebody comes to you and says like, oh, what do you do? Who are you? What? And then can I introduce you to this guy? And then it, kept on going. If you happen to be at the right place at the right time, when did I do that? It was 2007-ish, and 8, 9, 10, they were needing a lot of normal people because the VIPs were too busy and people were not relating that well with famous people saying, oh, this is an amazing compressor. Yeah, of course, they paid you to say that, And so being at the booth is fun. So you're not a subscriber. I mean, the NAMM show, go there. Where are you located, Mars? California? No? Yes? Maybe? I mean, the NAMM show is, why wouldn't you want to go there? When I was in Musicians Institute, we used to sneak into the places where the school would give the badges they had a specific run of badges for students or assistants and stuff. And I was lucky because I had won a scholarship. I was working as an assistant there as well. And, I had kind of a sort of like a better lane, sort of like a speed lane. And I was like, put the name in. So we do it. Oh, Houston. All right. So awesome. I've been to Houston once, but very, very fast. I've been to San Antonio most of my Texas times. My father's in the Air Force, Italian Air Force. And I got friends in San Antonio, my wife as well. But Houston, it was when I had to commute, transfer passenger, and I had a lot of hours, so I would visit and then come back to the airport. So you can't really get that fast because you don't want to miss a flight. Talking about compressors, any thoughts on the PSP Flow? All right, so Flow, which is now Flare, I have presets on it. I don't know the engineer who designed that, who thought about it. I just tested it when it was in alpha. And I kept testing it. I have presets that, my fault, I haven't sent to Anthony to put in the plugin. But I have presets that I think are absolutely awesome. And it's a great, do I have it installed here? I should, right? Should. Did I update it? Flare? Yes. I still had the old version from beta and stuff, and obviously updated. To me, the best feature this thing has is not speed, right? So license, NFR, whatever. It's not speed. See, my presets are not here. Yeah. All right. So it's not speed. I mean, it's speed. It's fast for sure. But the nice thing about this is the compressor sounding a little bit between a VCA and a diode bridge to me. I don't know why or how. I don't know if there's, you know, like if PSP has something near this, but to me it was really nice that it doesn't sound gooey as a VCA, but it doesn't sound like somebody is eating raw cereals next to you like a diode bridge does. You know, it's literally there in between. And I wanted one thing that they didn't do, but I did suggest it. Before you get mad, I did suggest it. I wanted the possibility of having the limiter be placed before the compressor. So a little button here that would say pre-comp. So you would instantiate it and you would have a limiter, and then you would go into compression and then, you know, make up gain and stuff. So it doesn't sound anything like RVox. It's one of the Waves plugins I had, and I haven't used it in a while, but I used to love RVox. You can use it in RVox sense. I think RVox sounds more oomphy and bulgy. Flare is a little bit more like at the side of your teeth, a little bit, you know, but it's not like bubble gum, and it's not like nails. It's got that attitude of the diode bridge, and but the movement of the VCA somehow. Somehow tighter as well, yes, because RVox has that buoyancy thing, right? It controls the vocals, but it still makes it feel, unless you overdo it. I like to just, you know, kiss the meter a little bit, and it just helps you. But I wanted these, especially exactly for vocals and bass, to have a limiter before to catch the peaks and then send it into compression. So maybe they'll do it. Send them an email and say, I was watching Alberto's stream and he mentioned the possibility of having the limiter before the compressor, and we think it's an amazing idea. So, you know, I have emails to Anthony that says, why don't? It's still fantastic, you know, but, you know, I like to limit a lot oftentimes before compressing, so do that. support@pspaudioworld.com. Hi, you know, I was just thinking how awesome Alberto's stream was, and you should do that. And it will say, he said that on stream. I had a button, yeah, just a button here. Left of link, you see limit disengages that, and link links left and right channels. And here, another button that says pre-comp, and you know, engage it, and your limiter is pre-comp. Nothing needs to move, you know, just the code will switch the routing there. Obviously, yes, gain doesn't quite make a lot of sense any longer because the makeup is not gaining into the limiter any longer, so that's why they had it. But gain will still make sense because of the mix knob. So nothing needs to really change, just a button. All right, we're going to dinner, people. I usually UK clip or standard clip before any compressor. Okay, yeah, that also works. That also works. I usually lately, shout out to my brother, Ryan Schwabe. He's just, I didn't know Ryan, but he contacted me for Gold Clip. And I was like, oh God, another clipper for library stuff and things. And here, my second mix bus has gold clip on here, which is off. So I have it in my template. That's the gold mix gold touch that I use. But I've used orange clip, and I absolutely love orange clip. That one and crispy clip by Yum Audio, also another super amazing company. I love the grader, and I've been talking to some people who've done Doom, and the grader is part of some of the sounds in Doom Eternal, the soundtrack. I don't know if they lied to me, but that was enough for me to say, like, I want it, and it's awesome. The grader is just a fantastic hell machine, but crispy clip is also really, really cool. I think I've used it here somewhere. But orange clip is taken from FL Studio's wave shaping mechanism, and it just sounds awesome. I'll do a video on it. I promised Ryan I'll do a video. I just haven't had time. All right, this is nice. Look what I found. This is my that's my effects buses pushed to oblivion. I like that. It sounds like a car horn, like a truck horn. Yeah, okay, I'll use that. Good to know. Good to know that's what's going on at minus what? Probably not that low. Minus 68. All right. And I like the Neve Summer on waves. It works same way a Newfangled Clipper. Yeah, I mean, this is all great stuff. Newfangled Dan is another genius. Everything he's done. I've done a video series on it, on his plugins. And while I was kind of learning them better, because I was using them already, but I wasn't feeling like I could teach the whole bundle. And I kept reading stuff in the manual, and I was like, why haven't I done these before? And it's just, the whole thing is based on, a lot of traffic. Yeah, absolutely. All right, people, thank you very much for being here. I'll think about switching the hours for the stream, because I think we go uphill after 8, and I know 6:30 is a little bit of a letdown. So let me just save while doing things right. So we do this, we close everything down. I'll just save it like, okay, maybe do a shift save and call it D8. Okay, that's the elaborated template. All right. So thank you very much again. It was a blast having you here. I'm now back in full splendor. The floppy in the Amiga behind me has been ticking since we started, just so you know. This is how it is. And what can I say? Thank you very much. Join the bar downstairs, absolutely. If you're a patron of mine, please, if you're not, I should start from the negative. If you're not, check what I do on Patreon, because these streams are just, number one, possible for people. Thank you, people who are supporting me, because thanks to you, this is possible. But there's also a ton more stuff there. So give it a check. We talk about this stuff only all day long, probably. And I do also live streams in there, in voice channels, so that it's like a live classroom all the time. We're setting things up. And if you're a patron of mine, thank you very much. You made these possible. See you on Discord, obviously, where we chat, we do stuff. Also remember, for the mercenaries out there, that by being a patron of mine, you have endless discounts on probably most of the plugins we've talked about. We have educational discounts. So you pay me, yes, but the amount of money you save by buying plugins with educational discounts, although you shouldn't just buy any plugin out there, because you have probably most of it anyway, and you still can't make music. So it's not how many plugins you have, or how long your plugins are. It's how you use them. But, give it a go. Check out what I do. There's tons of hours of videos out there in my Patreon. And we'll see each other on Friday. All right. We all do have a lot, Mars. A lot. So many plugins. Sometimes you say, like, I haven't used that. I should have. Would have sounded better. Too late. Just the important stuff is writing music if you're producing, mixing the songs, let them go, let them out, keep going, do stuff, because people are waiting for your music to be heard. They really, even if you seems to be just one of 3 people playing, having 3 followers, people love to listen to music. So sacrifice buying new plugins, doesn't matter. Use stock plugins as well. Just keep going. These streams probably, hopefully, will help you keep the motivation up, the ideas and the inspiration. So see you on Friday. For now, always 6:30 p.m. CET. There's nothing else to say. Thank you very much, people. It's always amazing. Thank you for the compliments. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Mars. You're amazing. Thank you for the compliments. You're liking the music. Thank you, Patrick, for sustaining my life in between. It's getting better. It's getting better, right? It's not that bad. And thank you, Marco. Thank you. Who am I missing here? Who did we have today? Buster Loop Studio. Thank you very much as well for dropping by. Nice to have new people in here. If I've missed anyone, which I think I haven't, I'm super sorry. No, I haven't. I hate to miss anybody, people. So see you on Friday, 6 p.m. CT, or on my Discord for Patreon, right? Ciao, people. Thank you.